Good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are tuned in to Financial Friday. I'm Minister Sharon Brumfield, and I have James Jones today. I'm just standing in for a little bit for Dr. Burns, but no worries. He will be joining us on this evening. And so, James, go ahead and get us started and let us know what's your plan for the lesson tonight.
Okay, so for this night, we want to get everybody into what it is to be an entrepreneur, what it is to be a business owner, and then I will go into detail about their similarities as well as their differences, and then how to make the transition from being an entrepreneur to being a business owner. And it's going to be a deep dive, so I want to get everybody in on the same page.
All right, so let's go ahead and get this shared out so other people can get tuned in tonight before we get started. So just give us a little update on what we've done since we started, like a really quick, walkthrough of what we've done during Financial Fridays.
Whew, that's a lot.
Just a
So
quick one.
So during Financial Fridays, we talked about our vision. We talked about making six figures. We talked about everybody being 100 millionaire, and then we got into outside the dreams, what it is to actually be an employee, what it is to be an entrepreneur, what it is to be a business owner. How does these things transpire over time? When you talk about home ownership, how do those things help? How do we reduce our how do we reduce the amount that we're spending so we can reallocate those funds and get them assigned properly so we can invest in ourselves?
Exactly, exactly. And what do you think are just a few takeaways that someone joining us today, say they didn't start Financial Friday back when we first had the first live, what's a few things that you can tell them so that they can get up to speed with where we are?
Okay, where we are right now, we are beyond a vision. So we do have a vision. If you When you get past the vision, I want you to understand that you got to be either an employee or an entrepreneur, business owner, or an investor. No matter where you are, you got to lock in to what makes you you and the product or service that you will be selling.
Okay. And as we move forward, what's some things that people can look forward to in on Financial Fridays? Because we're coming up to, we've gone through Financial Fridays since our 90 days of manifestation challenge, right? We've been coming on every single Friday, getting tips, getting tools, working through our finances. You gave us tips on doing money markets, right?
Yes.
Versus a regular savings account. You've talked to us about, couponing, and you talked to us about what else? Let me see, couponing.
Oh wow,
Uh,
you going all the way back.
yeah, resources. You gave us a wealth of resources that we could tap into. And so I just want to give the audience a really good view of what Financial Friday is about and why we need to share this out to other people. It's nothing like getting information. And it's another thing to get the information and share it with somebody else. So when you come on, go ahead and share this live. Go to the other social media sites. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram. You can go to those different places and you can tap in and share it with somebody else so that they can tap in tonight as well. I know that we have several people on with us. I see Paris is on. Good evening, Paris. Glad that you can join us for Financial Friday. All right, go ahead, Brother James.
Okay. So if you're new to the channel and you just want to figure out what it is that you want to do with your life, Financial Fridays is the best place for you to start off, get going, and then put everything in order. So in the beginning of the 90-day challenge, we did the first Financial Fridays, which was just an overview of making sure that everyone understood what it was to be financially free, to be financially stable, and to be financially savvy. If you understand those three, you have all that you need in order to accomplish everything else leading up to now. So with that, we moved into what it is to be financially stable and how do you make that. And it was a formula that I've been using for decades now. And it's the same formula. It's 10, 10, 40, 20, 10, 5, 5. And that goes over what goes to God, what goes to your country, what you live off of, what you invest in, what's your safety net, what's your acceleration, and then what you use for your sanity. Actually, in that particular order. I've been doing it for so long that I just know it by heart, because every time you look at your money, you need to know that your money is coming in. You need to assign it a task for that each individual dollar to do, and then watch it do what you call it to do. Once you get past that, you should be coming into your own, and that is investing in your vision. Once you get done investing in your vision, you'll be moving forward in life and creating your financial stability. I never believed in the government to be my financial stabilizer. So I always wanted to make sure that I was doing it myself, and I want to teach everybody how I was doing it and bring everybody along, because I want everybody to win.
All right, James, can you go over the 10? Yeah, Paris missed the rest of what you were saying.
Oh, gotcha. So the formula for financial stability is 10% goes to God. Oh, hold on. Let me start this off nice. Hello, everybody, and good evening to all my grinders. So, yeah, let's do this. So as we go over, I want to make sure we set up everything correctly. So the best way to set up everything that you do in life is to assign it a purpose. If you have an animal, you assign your animal a purpose before you even get your animal. That way you know what it's doing. If you get a job, you assign your job a purpose. That's the reason why you have a job. The same is true with your money. When you get money, when you perceive you're going to get money, when the idea that you may be making money, you start assigning it a task. And the way in which I assign my income or my revenue is the same. 10% goes to God. You always want to make sure that God has his. Now, you can go more than that, but you always want to make sure you start off with 10%. The next 10% is for your country. That's done in the form of taxes. Even though some people have their taxes taken out their paycheck, that doesn't mean you don't assign it and you account for it. After the 10% is 40%. 40% is what you live off of. That means if you're making $10,000 a month, you're living off $4,000 of that money. If you make $2,000 a month, you're living off roughly $600 a month. $600 a month. Yeah, if I'm saying that correctly. And I know that some people say there is no way I can do it, but you can. It's all about assigning your money and doing it properly. After you get past the 40%, you have 20%. 20% is your investment. Whether you do stocks or bonds, IRAs, or real estate, that 20% goes into your investment. The best way to invest is to invest in your vision, invest in yourself, invest in your mind and your structure, because by investing in your passion, you're well equipped to get it done and to see it through the end. After the 20%, you now have 10%. 10% is called your safety net. And the reason why it's called your safety net is because it's a built-in process to your income. By having a safety net, if you go over in your 40%, it's there as a buffer. And on top of that is your emergency fund. Because if you look at the numbers, most Americans are 1 to 2 paychecks away from going into debt or declaring bankruptcy. By having a safety net, you now have the ability not to go into debt. And if emergencies were to pop up, you have a better option to handle those emergencies, because you have money set aside for those emergencies. That's your safety net. After that, you have 5%. 5% is to accelerate. So as you are paying off debt or collecting debt, or you may have something that happens, you want to put that 5% down to accelerate all of your debt. If you have a loan and you want to accelerate the loan, you take that 5% and you use that to accelerate the loan payment process. That way, as you paying down all of the loans faster, you're actually paying less overall because you're utilizing that money to pay off interest. So as long as you're not building up stacks of interest, by accelerating the principal payment, you now are paying less over time. The last one is 5% for your sanity. And when I say your sanity, I do mean your sanity. As someone is doing all of this, they must understand that they need to relax. You got to have a burger every now and then, eat your ice cream, go to the movies, eat some popcorn, go have fun. And that 5% is used just for that. It's used for your sanity, because everything in life has a work cycle and a rest cycle. Your money has the same idea and it has the same consequences. If you was to overstrain everything you do, it will lose value. However, if you use 5% just to rest, just to give yourself a time to think, a time to enjoy your family, your loved ones, or just to have fun by yourself, you want to have some funds assigned to do just that. And that is the last bit, which is 5%. So the numbers again, so the numbers again is 10% goes to God, 10% goes to the country, 40% is what you live off of, 20% goes towards your vision or your investment, 10% is your safety net or your emergency fund, another 5% goes towards your goes towards accelerating your debt, and the last 5% is for your sanity.
You know, that explanation, I really enjoy that, because the whole sanity part is important. You still have to do some of the things that you need to do. You know, you still have to enjoy life. Otherwise, with all of that saving and all of that putting of money away and paying bills, you'll get frustrated. So welcome, Dr. Burns. Welcome.
Hey, I thought I'd ghost y'all today. That was good stuff. I was listening as I was coming on, and I do agree with you, Minister Bruffield. I think that, you know, a lot of times we look at all of our money as going out to bills, everything going out to bills, and we don't think about the sanity part. You know, we don't think about, you know, what's going to keep us going, because at some point you're going to hit a brick wall, right? I mean, if you just constantly, just all of your money constantly going out, and you know, it gets to a place where, you know, it gets overwhelming. You know, now I'm not sure. I see Paris was chiming in. What did she say, Minister Bruffield?
She asked the original question, so she's saying that he broke it down for her.
Oh, okay.
Understood.
All right. Okay. Kool-Aid. Well, Ms. Bruffield, you might well stay on then. Y'all flowing, and I'll be the third wheel today. Good evening, grinders. All right, keep on going, James. Where y'all at?
We were doing a brief review, and so if you want to jump into the lesson now, we can go ahead and do that.
No, y'all was chopping it up good. I'm trying to find y'all now, but yeah, you all was chopping that thing up.
I got some more to say. I'm always good for telling people everything. So the reason why everything has an assignment is because you are a person, and everything that your hand touches, you have control over. If you believe that, know that when money comes into your hands, you have control of that money. Not the government, not God. God gave you the assignment to do right by what God has given you. So when that money comes into your hand, always think of God first. When that money comes into your hand, think of what you need to do first. When that money comes into your hand, think of your vision first. Everything else you can play around with, but make sure God is taken care of. Make sure your vision is taken care of. Make sure how you live is taken care of. I am really big on those things, because as you get older, and we all will get older,
No, I don't get older. I get better.
Okay.
My children get older, but I get better. Listen, go back and say that again. Now, those are your main things there that you're talking about, and you say always take care of God first. Now, say those things again.
Okay. So when it comes down to it, everything that touches your hand, you have command over it. So when you get paid, when you receive your revenue, God comes first. Always pay God. When I say pay God, I don't mean like you're paying to live. I mean, you always got to put God in your sights. God should always be someone that you think about, not something, not some object. It always should be someone you're thinking about. When it comes to you, you should always be thinking about you. You should be a person that says, I do love myself. God is first, but you do have to love yourself.
Okay, but watch this though. I hear people, they say, I can't afford to tithe. That's what I hear people say. I can't afford to give God his first. I got all these bills. My child in private school or whatever. I got this car note. I just got all these bills. I don't have enough money as it is. And so I hear people say things like that. What do you say to that?
This is gonna sound bad, but
that's all loseristic.
I'm gonna try to break it down. I'm gonna try to break it down for people. And I'm gonna try to make it sound nice because oftentimes people have told me that I am way too rough. So if you only got $1 in your pocket, that dime ain't hurt nothing. I'm gonna be honest with you. But that dime is a show. It's a show. Hey God, I love you, and I still put you first. If you got $10,000 and you got to put that first 1,000 up, right? And you be like, God, I love you, right? That's not gonna hurt your bills. 10% don't hurt nothing you got going on. And the reason why people fall into that is because they're programming themselves to fall into that. And it's just a mindset. Because if you had a vision, right? If your vision was to be a dress designer, if your vision was to be the world champion at eating hot dogs, if that's your vision and your driving force, you could be on your last and you still gonna try to eat as many hot dogs as you can because that's your driving force. But if your vision is from God, if God gave you a vision and you believe in the vision, within your driving force is your vision. The one who gave you the driving force is your parent. So you always want to invest in your parent. Most good children invest in a parent, and they want to make sure mom and dad is taken care of. So when you got a vision, you're investing in your vision actively. And the formula that I gave, 20% of your income is going towards your vision. 10% is going towards God. So when someone tells me I don't have enough, I often ask, why? Because it's not that you don't have enough. It's you have a reason why. Because if you got money coming into your hand, a dime out of $1 doesn't hurt you. The things that hurt you are the things in which you know to be wrong, or the pleasures that you fall into. And when I say pleasures that you fall into, because I fell into those pleasures. And I personally have thought, oh, it's nothing. But then once you start pursuing your vision, and that's why I'm really big on your vision. If you pursue your vision, there is nothing that is more tantalizing. There is no pleasure that can get you more than a vision. Because when you sleep, your vision's there. When you wake up, your vision is there. When you go to the bathroom, you close your eyes for 38 seconds, and you can see your vision. When you can see yourself at the pinnacle of where you're supposed to be, then tithing isn't an issue. When you start assigning your money, tithing is not an issue. Offerings are not an issue when you assign. Now, if you're just spending money loosely, And that's the dilemma that I have seen most people who can't give an offering, who can't give to the church. That's the dilemma that I have seen people fall into, is that they're not prepared. They're not assigning their money. They're just giving money out their pocket.
Now, I hear people say that same type of mentality as far as not being able to afford the tithe. I hear people do the same thing when it comes to their vision, and oftentimes it's because they're living above their means and they're overwhelmed with what it's costing them to live. And so they're working and they have money coming in, but they're still not investing in their vision. It's just coming in and going to, We Energies, and everybody's getting the money, but God ain't getting none. Their vision is not getting none. And when you see when you hear those kind of things, you say, well, what do a person do? What do you say?
I had the same discussion with my brother, and when I was talking to him, all right, my brother who probably he probably gonna hear me. Just let him know I said I'm sorry first, okay? I'm not gonna say his name, but I'm gonna say I'm sorry first, okay? Because I say that because I have committed my life to going after my vision.
Okay.
So when that happens, I am sometimes not quite aware of some things. Let me make sure I say that correctly, because because I got these words, and sometimes these words trump up and they overshadow the meaning. So let me tell everybody the meaning first. The meaning of what I'm saying is, I love you and I want you to do better, but I can't force anyone to do better.
Mm-hmm.
With that being the foundation, let me get into it.
Okay.
Some people set themselves up for failure. And when they have somebody telling them, hey man, you're going down the wrong road, they're so driven about proving you wrong that they double down into the wrong road. And I, for the life of me, don't have the best idea as to how to change that other than a life event. Most of the times when people are on the wrong path, going down a wrong road, and they are just being belligerent about what right looks like, I found that typically they hit a wall, they have a heart attack, they get out of commission, and then while they're recovering, then they regroup, then they recap. Then they understand that maybe I was running too far. Maybe I was going too fast. Maybe I was just doing too much in the wrong direction. And I say that because, and I got to give you the meaning for this. The meaning is, if I build a bad house on bad land, mm-hmm. and the house start to tilt, whose fault is it? Is it the builder? Is it the person who did all the materials? Or is it the person who made the plans on bad soil? Mm-hmm. I tell you, it's the person who picked bad soil. But if the same person was to realize what they're doing, mm-hmm. right? You're halfway doing the build, you see the house leaning like the Tower of Pisa, and you may say, hey, you know what? This is not what I want. So they got to regroup. Suck up your pride. And that's another issue that a lot of people fall themselves in. Because they often ask, who are you to tell me that what I'm doing isn't right? Mm-hmm. Well, I'm telling you because I'm doing it, and I kind of want you to do it too. So I got to tell you, it's out of love, but people have to swallow their pride and take a financial look at their financial situation. And that's the best way to lead people to having a better mindset of their finances.
Okay, well, I think you hit it pretty much on, and I think the main thing was, it's a pride thing, really, because like you say, you double down on it, and I think that's one of the things that I learned, and I oftentimes say, you got to have people in your life that can tell you what to do, and you will do it even if you don't want to, because you trust them, because you trust them. Deacon Boone said when I first started going to church consistently, I said I could not afford to tithe. Then I realized I had to tithe off the top, because if I didn't, I could always find something to pay or buy. And so it's like you said, it's a mindset, because in reality, a dime really ain't gonna make a difference. You know, you're not gonna be able to pay that bill with the dime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's good. That's good. So what do we have today? So last week we finished what we finished last week.
So last week we finished up business owners last week.
Mm-hmm.
So this week we're gonna double down into that, and I'm gonna go over what it is to be an entrepreneur, what it is to be a business owner, and then how do you make that transition properly from being a business owner, from being an entrepreneur to being a business owner.
Okay. Now I had a couple of meetings this week, and I found myself using that whole idea of documenting, and then acknowledging the pattern, and then creating systems. And then I also looked at what I was doing weekly, at the church when I go in, when I do the days that I'm in. And I realized that I don't have a system, and so, I have a pattern of what I do, but looking at it, thinking that way now with that type of mindset, I realize that's not efficient, and so, in different spaces, it's the same when you have a different mind, a shift in your mindset, and it can elevate you to another place where with the elevation, you're able to see things differently. But if you try to fight to stay in the space that you are by making excuses, then it's hard for you to see, a better way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That actually does make a lot of sense. And I'm laughing because I got a brother, and me and my brother, we had a drag out talk about this. It was like fighting with words.
Okay.
And I'm glad that you're saying this, because I know he will hear this, and it won't be just his brother telling him. It'll be the pastor saying the same thing. So yes.
Yeah, I think that's important. And I think, like Limar is saying, mindset. I have even concluded that a lot of times, most of the time, the main reason as a pastor why it's challenging for me to move the church forward is not necessarily because of skill. Because people have the skills, but they don't have the mindset. There's some people think that if they contribute, that it's going to take away from what they're doing in their personal life. So they have the skills, but they won't lend the skills to the kingdom.
Yes.
Or they'll give the kingdom minimum requirement. And it's because of mindset, the way they're thinking. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you have those who may not have the skill set, but they have the mindset.
Yeah.
And those persons, I see that group of people, I see go further quicker with less skills, but have the right mindset. Then I see people who has the skills, but they don't have the mindset.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. That is so true. Because if me and you are determined, you and I both are determined. I'm determined not to lose. Mm-hmm. You're determined to win, right? Your determination is to win. And we're doing the same thing. But when we go up against challenges, I'm going to be reluctant to take that next level because I'm just trying not to lose. You are taking that risk, that challenge. And yes, you may lose a little, but you're going to gain a lot more because you're taking that challenge. You're learning those skills, and you're propelling yourself that much more. And it is definitely a mindset.
Now say that again. And I'm gonna acknowledge Dr. Smoots there. you said there's one group that's determined not to lose, and that the other group is determined to win. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, all right.
Those are two different groups. If you take you and I, and I'm just determined not to lose, and you are determined to win, we will hit the same challenges. Like the person who's all stingy with the money, we're gonna, when we hit that challenge, the person who's deciding not to lose, I am not gonna lose my money, right? They're not gonna take that challenge, because the road to discipline and financial freedom is taking that challenge and being successful at it.
Yeah.
Since you're saying I'm gonna take the challenge, your mindset is already to take the challenge. You don't know what it is, you don't know how it's gonna happen, but you know you gotta take a challenge.
Yeah.
So when you dive into it, your mindset is to win. So you're gonna take the challenge. You're also gonna learn the skills, the tools, and those things that will propel you to accept the challenge and win. What's gonna happen is, even though I'm not taking a challenge, you may win some, you may lose some, but ultimately you will win because you're learning so much more than I am.
Yeah.
So when you hit that same challenge again, oh, you already been through that. I did all the notes for this one. I know how to excel past this. I'm still trying not to lose.
Okay.
So as time goes forward, I'm in my same position, in my same rut, in my same mindset. You already went to my mindset, excelled past where I was, and now you're doing what I can only hope to do.
Wow. I started another book. I thought I was going to write a book for my 30th anniversary. You know, I'm always starting stuff, and I need to put that in there right there. That's gonna find it. That's gonna find its way in a sermon somewhere. That's that right there, and I'm gonna expand that thought. What was that quote Dr. Smoots had up on the screen there? Dr. Smoots said, "Money is a tool, not a goal. Once you get good with a tool, you can then build." And that's good right there. That's good.
Oh, yeah, I like
good.
that.
So let's go ahead and chop it up and get into today's lesson. I think. Oh, did we say, Mr. Brumfield, or do you remember? Were we going to do answers the question and answer today, or did we do that last week?
No, we're gonna do it now.
Oh, we're gonna do that today, and then we're gonna move on to the next one. All right. So listen, we wanted to make sure that we wasn't running off on you all, and you know we're getting deeper. It ain't really deep. We use the term deep, but it's just layers of knowledge. You know, so we're layering on knowledge. We're going to step 1 and step 2, and so we're climbing. We're layering on knowledge, and if a person is stuck at a certain level because they can't grasp that thought, or they're not willing to allow themselves to move forward, then you can get lost as we go along the way. And so today we wanted to just pause for a moment just to make sure, you know, everyone, that we're all still kind of on the same page. And so based on all of the things that you've learned up to this point, whether you've been on all of the Friday night Financial Fridays, or whether or not you've been on some or just one, the information that you've been receiving, is there something that you have a question about to help you to crystallize whatever that thought is that you might be wrestling with, or that thought that you might need an answer to in order to be able to move forward with what we're talking about? And so we want you to put that in the chat. Now, hopefully you've already done your minimum requirements, and that was to, you know, fill out your budget sheet. All right, for your year, you're supposed to do that in January, and then you were supposed to look into a money market account, or a CD, or both. All right. Yes. And so those are your entry levels, you know. And so if you're really serious about it, then those are the steps that you need to, you know, you need to start there. And going back to what James was just talking about with the mindset, if we're determined not to lose, we're not going to take that risk. But if we're determined to win, we're going to take the risk and we're going to learn from the risk and we're going to keep on learning. And each time we come into that same situation, we're going to excel where the other person is going to still be trying not to lose. All right. And that's the good stuff right there.
When I heard you say it, I was like, when I heard you say it, I was like, man, that sound nice.
Did I say that?
Yeah. Like I said that earlier.
Yes, sir. I mean, this is really, really a powerful thing that we're doing here. And I don't know, I talk to certain people afterwards as I see them, and I ask them certain questions. And I know some of the people kind of dropped out along the way, and that's cool. I'm okay with it. I know that after we get through this portion of Financial Fridays, we're going on. We're believing that our book will be done.
Yes.
How to make six figures,
yes,
and we'll begin to use that as our workbook as we go forth. And so being able to already have that mindset is important. I was talking to Pastor Powell, and most people know Pastor Powell's. He owns a lot of McDonald's in the franchises in the city of Milwaukee and probably other places. I don't know, but he definitely knows about business. And I was talking to him, and he said that being a millionaire is not about money. He said if you gave a person $1 million, that doesn't make them a millionaire. Because if you gave a person $1 million and they got a $10,000 mindset, it won't take them long to take that $1 million that they have and get down to $10,000. Or you give a person $1 million and they got a broke mindset, it won't take them long to be broke. And we know that to be true if you look at the lottery winners. When you look at the history and the stats of people who win the lottery, they are broke, and in most cases worse off than they were before they won the lottery. He said being a millionaire starts with a millionaire mindset.
Yes.
And so you have to be able to see that place that you're trying to go in your mind, and you have to begin to operate as though it was so. You don't wait to it. That's why people say, Pastor, when I win the lottery, I'm a tithe. And in my mind, I said, if you ain't tithe now, you ain't gonna tithe when you win the lottery. You know what I mean?
If you win $23 billion, your tithe for $23 billion is $230,000. $230 million. $230 million. You gonna tithe off that? No. If you win $23 billion, your tithe is $2,300 million. $2,300 million. If you ain't tied off a dime, right? If you if you got $1 and they gotta squeeze a dime out of you, if you got 23 billion, you gonna claim everybody is a witch, a warlock. you gonna claim can't nobody touch me, right? And then the only thing gonna happen is the government gonna take their half. You're gonna believe some lawyer that you never met because they gonna tell you that they rich and they just in the same boat as you, and then you gonna believe them. They gonna take half.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna come back home after you done told everybody off. You done bought somebody a car that you can't afford because you don't know you broke yet. And then at the end of the year, you sitting there crying like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Yeah, that happens.
Lemar says, hashtag I'm determined to win. That's a good hashtag to put in the chat there. Why don't you all put that in there? Hashtag I'm determined to win. And you got to be determined to win, don't you? Because you're going to be faced with a lot of challenges. That's just part of life. It's going to be a lot of challenges, ups and downs. But you can persevere through them all only if you cultivate the right mindset, the right mindset. All right. So I don't see any questions in the chat. So
do you want me to go?
So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and move forward, and then we'll just, you know, if one pop up, we'll bag back, and we'll swerve and pick it up. You know, there it is. I see it coming in there. Latrita say, "I'm determined to win." Yeah, Dr. Bonds, there they come. There they come. I'm determined to win. Yeah, Mr. Efren, I'm determined to win. Oh, yeah. Yes, yeah. Elder Perry, I'm determined to win. There they come. There they come. Deacon Boone, I'm determined to win. Yes. Lady Burns, love of my life, I'm determined to win. Yeah, yeah. And Dr. Smooth said, "What about IUL?"
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Minister Mark said, "I'm determined to win." IUL. Help us, Dr. Smooth. IOU.
I just don't know what that means. IUL. Invest, understand, little. You got us on that with Dr. Smooth. You had to give us a little more. If James can't get it, then I know we yeah. Life insurance. Oh yeah.
Life insurance. Okay. So did we cover life insurance?
No, we didn't cover life insurance.
Okay. Now is that something we have on the docket?
No, actually,
that's something we could just share now, because life insurance is definitely a way to build wealth. It's definitely a way to leave a legacy. You know, life insurance is very important. You know, in a lot of different cultures, they use life insurance to set up next generations. You know, yes. They use life insurance to help stabilize their church. You know, that's where some of the churches, you know, in other cultures, they have these big, beautiful buildings, and they immaculate. You know, everything is well taken care of inside out, and there's only 10 people in there. You know, and so a lot of times it's because many of them have left insurance policies for the church, and then the church is able to, you know, continue to operate. You know, I remember I brought that to the church when I first started, and man, they almost tried to hang me. Oh. They was going around telling people that pastor was put life insurance on the members. He's gonna kill the members and get the money.
Oh my goodness, that is
so. Sometimes in our culture, we don't understand, you know, the whole idea of the different ways that you can use insurance as a wealth builder. What are your thoughts on insurance?
I thought that was crazy, but some of that stuff is just it's a mindset, or it's just education. So when it comes to life insurance, every job that anybody works at that's built by a corporation, your job has a life insurance on you. So when somebody says, "Oh, that's so crazy," it's not actually crazy. It's quite legal, and there's a reason for it. Because if you work for a company and you're investing in that company, you have a financial benefit to that company. If you was to cease, that company get some revenue from you. Now, I know that sounds bad, but think about it as a church. If I invest 20, 30, 40 years at this institution, right? Why is it when I pass, it will be looked at as a disservice? Am I dying at the church? Is the church trying to kill me? Or am I investing in a place that I call home? That if I call this my sanctuary, and my sanctuary is doing a benefit for my Lord, my God, it's not hard for my church to reinvest in me in case I perish. Because unless Jesus comes back, I'm going to die too.
Yeah, that's true.
So when you are a father, you invest in the life of your kids, but you also invest in those around you. And a life insurance policy gives you that option, that ability to reinvest. in your life. And these are a life insurance to me is a financial responsibility to perform. It does not mean that you have to. It's something in which you highly encourage to do. Like some people like me do term life, some other people do whole life. But life insurance is a very easy way to make sure people are financially stable.
Okay. Paris said life insurance is an easy gateway to wealth.
Yeah.
And Dr. Smooth said it's what the Rockefellers did, you know. And so I'm not familiar of their full story of how they became who they became, but he's saying there that that was one of the things that they did. And I've heard different stories about other different people that have used life insurance in a way to further their family legacies, you know. And Index Universal Life, he says, I think the thing is understanding life insurance, and I don't know how much you know about life insurance, because you got your term life insurance and you got your whole life insurance, and I don't know what other kind you have. I wish I had someone to tell me about life insurance. I had term life insurance from the time that I got married. And what I didn't realize is, you know, I think my first term life that I had was like 25 years. But then after I lived 25 years, then, you know, that insurance was gone.
Yeah.
And now to get some more insurance, because now I'm 25 years older, it cost me more. And then I got a 15-year term life insurance because that was affordable. And guess what happened? I lived another 15 years. And then, you know, that insurance was expired. And then now I'm older again, right? And so then each time it became more difficult for me to get insurance that I can afford. And I finally ran into somebody, or it was Bishop Wheeler, that introduced me to someone who helped me to understand insurance a little more. And so then I began a whole life policy. And I wasn't able to get as much coverage as I had with the term because of the cost. But had I started out 30 years ago with the whole life, after you paid in so much, when times are hard and you can't pay, the policy will pay the premium on the policy. You know what I mean? And so I don't know enough about it to be to really talk about it. That's just been from my experience, but definitely not from a place where, you know, I'm giving somebody advice, you know. So so what's the extent of your understanding or knowledge when it comes to life insurance?
When it comes to life insurance, I don't have an elaborate idea of life insurance. When it was explained to me, whole life gives you the ability to die and pass assets over to your children. Mm-hmm. Term life is for those who are the better way. A more educated person can put this better than I can. But term life is where you're really investing in yourself. So with term life, you don't get the benefit of whole life, but it doesn't cost as much as whole life. So I am not the expert on which is better for each individual situation. I did term life because of the fact that I am heavily invested in a vision that I have. Mm-hmm. And that vision that I have will produce a monetary fund for everyone in my family.
So your vision is your insurance policy.
Correct. So when it comes to, but I'm not against insurance policies. So if you was like, hey, I got this whole life insurance policies, I don't talk negative for insurance policies because I do have a backup insurance policy. Mm-hmm. I think every company that I manage or own or can think about, I'm pretty much all of them got a financial life insurance backing attached to me. And that's because I don't want anybody that's attached to me to have a financial hardships when I go.
Okay.
So I'm not against it. It's just I have a different idea of life insurance, and that is own a company, and by owning real estate and multiple companies of it, I am able to pass that on to my children.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a different way of looking at it. But I do like whole life, and I do like whole life, and I do like term whole life. I do like whole life. I want to make sure I say that out loud, so I don't want anybody to be like, you don't like whole life. Like, no, I'm not saying I don't like whole life. I'm saying that when it was introduced to me, term life seemed like a better option at that time. And that's because I buy property, and I use companies to buy property. So that seemed like a better option at the time.
Okay. All right. Well, we have to get somebody on, talk a little bit about insurance. I might even be able to do that with the person that Bishop Reland introduced to me. She's in Florida. So let's see. Let's go ahead and then add on a little bit more meat to Financial Fridays. And so our next leg of the race, she was going to talk about what?
So I was going to talk about investments, but we do have a slide. I do have a slide deck propped up for everybody, so we can go through those.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Everything's for Rise and Thrive. This is live with Dr. Anthony D. Burns, and I am Brother James Jones. I'm always me. So I just want to make sure that we touch on the basis from being an entrepreneur to being an actual business owner. So when people use these terms, some people use them interchangeably, but there are differences between the two. So I'm going to go over the similarities and the differences, because we do have more in common. There's a lot of things in common with business owners and entrepreneurs, but when you start seeing that inside certain areas, there are differences. So I want to go over both of those differences. So if no one has any questions, these are the similarities to an entrepreneur and to a business owner. They may choose to have employees. They both sell a product or service, and they may be more than one owner. Most of the time, entrepreneurs are typically by themselves, and they are typically the owner. Business owner or business owners are typically one person controlling a system, or they have multiple people joining in to make the product or service. And also, both entrepreneurs and a business owner, they all strive after a vision. Because if you don't have the proper vision, you always lose sight of what you can or will do. Okay, there were some differences. So, like I was talking 2 weeks ago about entrepreneurs, they're innovative, they're groundbreakers, they're risk takers, they can have the ability to adapt to a changing climate. They're very persistent at what they do, and they are customer focused, which makes business owners ideally for starting up businesses and being the groundbreakers of new inventions. However, just last week, I talked about business owners, which they're not really into innovation and groundbreaking. They're mostly into setting up roles and responsibilities. They're not risk takers. They really are risk mitigation specialists. They're not that adaptive. They're really good at decision making, though. And instead of being persistent in the product, they're more profit motivated. And instead of being customer focused, they're more system focused. And as I go over the differences, even though the outcome may be the same, there are differences in between the two. Do I have any questions before I start?
Okay, no, I think you laid it out pretty well there. Because we kind of picking up from where we were last week when we were talking about the difference between the entrepreneur and the business owner, and so it kind of self-explanatory. And then if you were with us last week, that just reiterates what we're talking about. And so let's go a little further until we get some questions that pop up.
Okay. So how to transition? So when you are an entrepreneur, the good things that you can do in life is that you're innovative and you're a groundbreaker. That means that you are introducing new products, you're introducing a new line, you're introducing a new style. You may actually be setting a whole new trend. And by doing that, you're shifting the balance or the scale of the industry that you're in. And that's a great thing. When you are a business owner, you are setting up roles and responsibilities to the people who are doing just that.
Mhm.
So the best way to interpret this is, and as an entrepreneur, I create a brand new car. As a business owner, we're taking that brand new car and we're setting a process in place on how to duplicate the process of creating a brand new car.
Mhm.
By doing that, the business owner is always in the process of replicating themselves. So many people over time can do the same thing that business owner is doing. Whereas the innovative entrepreneur may build the first car and say, that's nice, but I got something better. So now they're doing another design for a new car. They may get done and say, that's nice, but I'm going to do something better. Now they're reintroducing a new car. It may fail, it may succeed, but they're always reintroducing or being innovative in the field that they're in.
Okay.
How you make that transition is as you create a new product, and that new product is tested, and this is a good product, you now move over into assigning roles and responsibilities. Whereas you have a good engineer who can gracefully check it and then ship it out to another area. You have a good logistics manager who understands how to ship it and move it to the right area. You have a good management team who has access to good sales service or training to make sure all those underneath you are able to do what you have called them to do.
Okay. Well, I don't see any questions in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, there's one. Devon, what's going on, my brother? He said, what is the risk between the two?
So the risk between the two is when you're an entrepreneur, you're taking a lot of chances. So that'll be the next one is risk makers versus risk mitigations. But as an entrepreneur, the benefit about being an entrepreneur is that you are the groundbreaker. So if you were to create a new pie, you're making a brand new pie that no one has ever tasted before, no one has ever seen before. You're using flavors that nobody in America has ever laid eyes on. That's innovative. That's groundbreaking. And that's an entrepreneur because you're making the brand newest of new things. Now, there's a risk associated because it's brand new and no one has ever tasted it before. You don't know if they're going to like it or not like it.
Mm-hmm.
As a business owner, you now have checks and balances in which you must put into it to make sure that as it's being produced, your management team, your logistical team, your employees are implementing what you're doing. So now instead of is you being the baker, as a business owner, you hire the right baker to do what you wanted them to do.
Okay. I think that's a pretty good answer to that.
When I go down the risk, then it's a lot. There's a lot more that goes into risk taking.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's just like we talked about last week. It's all about listening, learning, and then applying it so that you can grow. And that's important because these are avenues that a person can use to change the whole financial landscape and stability of their family.
Yes.
Versus if we just stay locked into just one thing, especially because I think Lady B said that God gives us creative ideas, and so we talk about innovative and groundbreaking. I think all of us have the ability to innovate.
Yes.
We all have the ability to birth groundbreaking ideas, but I think it's a matter of going back to the mindset. It's a matter of how we've been conditioned, because some people are conditioned to work, and that's what they do. They go to work, they'll go to work. They're going to be faithful at going to work, even though going to work may not have enough perks, to meet the needs that they have, but because they've been conditioned. Maybe their father was like that, or their mother was like that, or you know what I'm saying, generations, and they just work. But in spite of that, we all do have the potential to rise up out of our situation and begin a new journey using some of these principles that we're learning, and you can move from where you are. Now Pastor Powell, he said that when you want to leave your job, when you want to leave your job, he says that you have to make sure you account for how much your job is paying. So you got $25 you make it on your job, and you make it $25 on the side. That's $50. So if you don't leave your job and start a business, you got to at least be able to make what you walking away from. And then he says he don't go nowhere without increase. So then now you will have to go from $50 to maybe $75.
Yes.
You understand what I mean? And so having that ability to do that, is so key to understand that innovation and groundbreaking is not as far from us as a lot of times we think.
Yeah.
All right.
So if you're taking notes, the big takeaway from this before I move to the next slide is if you're transitioning from being innovative and groundbreaking, you have to be able to write down what you're doing and assign the right person, which is sometimes difficult due to who you can hire. But you're taking your innovative, groundbreaking ability and you're writing it down and you're finding the right person who can replicate what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when you say finding the right person, that, goes back to the whole idea of collaboration.
Yeah.
That you don't have to have all of the giftings yourself. You know what I mean? That you have to be willing. Then going back to what we was talking about with the pride thing, we got to be very careful about, pride, because when we have pride, we don't want to let nobody help us, or we're not willing to receive, help, even though collaboration is all around us. You know what I'm saying? I see it a lot, especially when the different things that, we try to provide for people to help improve them. A lot of times they won't even come to the table. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, you have to be sure that you understand what you're doing at the level that you're doing, no matter how good it is, can be so much better if you have the right people around you. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The right people makes a difference in how fast you grow and how wide you grow.
Yeah. And so, but you can stay doing it on your own, taking those, those head knocks, and you know what I mean? You can use a lot of energy trying to reinvent the wheel if you want to, but a lot of those things have already been figured out. Even like some of the things that you've been sharing on our Financial Fridays, a lot of those things has been very helpful, but it hasn't necessarily been new. It just was new to me. Yeah. All right. Well, let's keep on Cadillacing.
The next one, risk takers versus risk mitigation. As an entrepreneur, I can't tell you the amount of risk you must take in order to get into your market. So if you were to take a entrepreneur and say, this is the market, to get in the market, the entrepreneur must take the risk of putting money into his or her idea, promoting that idea, and then growing that idea. All of that is your entrepreneurial spirit, where you are actively putting all of this time, this energy, and work into making this service or this product grow into a market. And whether you're being innovative, where you're taking a product and now you're reintroducing it as a better product, or you're doing groundbreaking work and you're introducing a brand new product, both of those are heavy risk to failure and to succeed. So as an entrepreneur, you're heavily involved in risk taking. And by being a risk taker, you have a good chance of winning. You also have a good chance of losing. When I say good chance, I do mean that entrepreneurs even though we have the most entrepreneurs, 95% of them go bankrupt or go out of business within 5 years.
Wow. What is the percentage?
95%.
95%. Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
entrepreneurs.
Do you need to check those figures?
Well, because people fail for simple reasons. Not everyone who's an entrepreneur needs to be an entrepreneur. This is where collaboration comes in. Mm-hmm. Some inventors are really good at inventing. They're not business people. So they can invent the best product, but they don't sell it correctly. They don't market it correctly. They don't know who to talk to. And the best word to say is they too filled in themselves to humble themselves and ask for help. Well, collaboration is key. If I'm the best marketer, but I have nothing to market, I'm going to fail. If I'm the best inventor, like the best, there is no one better at inventing this one product than me, but I can't market it because I'm too afraid to market it. It could be another person who has a slightly less than product, but they collaborate and they got somebody who can market it. Who do you think people are going to buy from? Yeah. You may have the best product, but if you don't know how to market it or collab with somebody or do a collaboration, and that person can do what you can't do, you will fail.
Yeah, yeah, and I think a great example, and it's not always the pride though, but sometimes it's just not being able to have that vision, you know. And a good example would be the McDonald brothers. You know, they had this system where they made this hamburger, and that hamburger was, you know, the whole idea of, you know, the best thing at that time, right? Yeah. But they couldn't go no further than where they were. And then it took a guy, the Ray guy, who came in to sell milkshake machines, and he sees what they're doing and said, oh, this thing needs to be all over. And so then he had the vision for it, and they, even though they had the product, they couldn't see, they didn't have the vision to see that, you know, how far that thing could really go. And so I don't know how, I can't remember the whole story of how he ends up with it. I don't know if he just bought it from him or whatever, but then now you got McDonald's in every country, pretty much, I'm sure, you know what I mean? And so being able to have that collaboration or allow people with certain skill sets to help you is so key, you know, to moving forward. I think that's been something that has held me back as a pastor in our church for many years, because, you know, I know without a doubt that there's a lot of things that I'm doing that I'm not called to do, you know, and it's going to take somebody who's willing to be determined to win, and not somebody who's trying not to lose, to come alongside and take that piece, and then we'll both win.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so that's so important that, and I think, you know, I was listening at a older tape of Apostle Fred Price talking about, he did a series on racism, and he was talking about how the mindset, even from slavery, is still indoctrinated in our people, you know, and that we still have this inability or difficulty working together, you know, and it's almost like we have this self-destructive, you know, belief system, you know, that, you know, we're afraid to come together, you know, and I think when we look at even, you know, and I'm gonna say this, and I hope nobody don't send me no letters or nothing. If you're gonna send some letters, send them to James, you know. Don't send me no letters. But, you know, I heard Pastor Powell say it, and I'll say it too. And I'm saying his name a lot because I've been meeting with him this week for this workshop that's coming up, and he's just been spitting out a lot of knowledge. And it was like he said, you have to be a good number 2 before you could be a good number 1. You know, and a lot of people don't want to be a number 2. And so there's somebody who could come and as a good number 2 and take a part, and that thing they'll win more people to Christ than they'll ever win as a number 1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there are some people that's a number 2 that will be more profitable than they will ever be as a number 1. You know, but because of that slave system, because of that mindset, you know, we're never able to get any momentum, because as soon as the wheels start turning, it's like boom. I'm gonna tell you this story and then we're gonna move on. When my grandfather left me a business, and it was he fixed houses and stuff like that. So he was like a bougie handyman, you know. So he had a lot of jobs in Fox Point, Whitefish Bay, Bayside, all of those kind of areas. You know, where those were his clientele. You know, those are people that he would work. You know, that would hire him. And so we would go over there, we would fix porches, we would paint, we would fix sinks or whatever that was needed in there. And so when he got older, he turned that business over to me. Yeah. And then I built the business up. We went from just being him to 7. We had 7 people working. We had several trucks and cars, and we had people on this side over there working and people over there working. And then when I come back around, when I make my rounds, here are these guys sitting on the ladder, trying to holler at the girls. I'm like, man, what are you doing here? And then I would have this, when it was time to get paid, they would see the person give me the check, but then all of a sudden they wanted more than what I negotiated them. They're gonna pay, you gonna pay, and then I'm gonna give you this. And then but when they saw the money, then they felt like they needed more. And they wouldn't understand, well, I got insurance to pay, I got, taxes to pay, I have things that come out of that money. But the point that I'm saying, just like what Devon is saying here, a crab in the barrel mentality, he says we live in a community where people don't understand, to be a good leader, you have to have the qualities of a follower. And so I'm saying oftentimes that's what happens, that it keeps us from collaboration, and we're struggling individually, when if we could just come together, we wouldn't have to struggle. Yeah. Now, that was a sermon right there, right? I was on my soapbox.
Hey, you say that for like 38 more minutes. I'm like, yeah, that's a sermon.
Listen, we got about 15 minutes left. How do we want to proceed, James? That time just be going fast.
Yeah, that's how I do. Okay, we could do a lot of note taking, but so I'm gonna give summaries. So anybody taking notes, the summary to a risk taker is an entrepreneur because they're innovative and groundbreaking. The takeaway is, as a business owner, you're not taking on those risks. You're making those things palatable for everyone in your group to do and function what they need to do.
Okay, I got somebody texting me right now. I think you froze, and I'm going to see if I can make something happen. Oh, they kicked him out. Okay, so I had someone. I don't want to put him out there yet. That was just texting me that had some knowledge on one of the subjects we was talking about tonight, and I was trying to see if I could get him in. Oh, there you go. I thought the heat got too hot in the kitchen.
No. Now I'll be honest with you. There are things I'm good at, and there's some things I'm still learning. Okay, computers. Okay. You want me to teach you how to be financially stable? Gotcha. You want me to teach you how to work a bunch of computers? I may not be the best guy at that time.
Okay. Well, I had somebody said that they had some knowledge about one of my subjects. I was going to see if I can pull them into the screen, and we could chop it up this last. But let's set the stage for next week. So, where's a good place where we could bring this into an end when you look at your next couple of slides, so we won't just leave them hanging out there in limbo?
The best place to go is
No, don't be skipping nothing now.
No. This is right here. This is the best place to end it. Is because everyone can see everything that we're going through. And I can talk on everything. I can give a summary for all of these pieces. So when we meet back again, everyone hopefully is going to the Entrepreneurship Course 101. If they can make it, go out and support. Because if you can make it, go. It's the Entrepreneurship 101. And I am very, very, very well to understand that all of the stuff that I'm talking about, I am 199% sure that somebody's going to go over the same exact thing, or you're going to have a small group breakout session, you're going to eat lunch, and the things I'm going over, being an entrepreneur, you will be able to understand more and get everything situated.
Well, I don't know, Mr. Brumfield, do you have that flyer? Let me see if I can send it to you. Well, let me say this, since you brought that up.
Yeah.
That the entrepreneur workshop that's tomorrow at 9:00 is definitely is not going to be in competition with this. It's just going to be some more information. And the thing that you have to understand about tomorrow is that, if you're trying to start a business, and if you're trying to get your business moving, the information that you've been getting on Financial Friday is information, is structural information, not only to help you to see, what it is that you're doing, it helps you to see where you're trying to go. So we've looked ahead. We started at a foundational place. We looked at some survival things that we could do in order to help us not spend money. We looked at ways where we could begin to assign our money, so our money could begin to work in our behalf. And then we began to look at, targets when it comes to how far it is that we actually want to go. But when we really understand that you don't want to just stop at this entrepreneur place, you want to get to a place of a business owner where you have systems and you can reproduce it. And now, instead of just having one store, you can have 5 stores, or, instead of just having, this one thing, you're able to manage multiple things, which increases your revenue. And so I believe Financial Friday has given us vision to see where we could go.
Yes.
All right. And now some of the things that we're going to talk about at the entrepreneur workshop tomorrow is it's going to be some basic things, and it's going to be very motivational because, we're going to be hearing from a person who's, when it comes to business owner, maybe you don't want to own as much stuff as he has, but this person he doesn't talk over your head, and so and I'm not saying we do, I'm just saying you can gain a lot from a person of that status who you can still understand. You know what I mean? Because sometimes when a person is, at that level, it's hard for us to receive from them because we're intimidated by them. You know what I mean? But Pastor Powell doesn't have that type of character, and so that's one thing. So it's going to be very motivational for you. And you're going to see that some of the things that James has been talking about, you're going to see how doable they are. You know, it's going to help you to bring this thing together. And then we have a financial piece there. Darvin Moore is going to be with us, and he's going to be sharing part of the workshop. And this guy is a financial strategist. You know, they call him Coach Darwin. And, you know, you can look up his resume, but this guy here is a financial strategist. And so when I was talking to him, he was talking about, you know, how he goes to the different banks and how he gets the information. So he knows what bank you can go to. And if you got a credit, your credit score is this, then he know this is where you can shop at. If your credit score is this, he know this where you can shop at. He knows what banks is going to do multiple inquiries on your credit. You know, he knows how to use 0% interest, how to take advantage of that. He knows how to, you know, instead of going to get a loan and then the loan is due that next month that you got it, but you hadn't had time to take the loan and do what you're trying to do so that the money would come back. He know how some different ideas that you could use to get money to use to build your business and only pay it back as you use it. You know what I'm saying? So it's a more layers of information. Is not information that conflicted with what we're talking about on Financial Fridays. It is it marries it. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Does that make sense? Devon said, as a potential business owner, how do you retain the funding that you need to get your business off the ground? And that's why you need to be at the workshop tomorrow, because the guy that you need to ask that question, he's going to be there tomorrow. He's going to be there tomorrow. And the registration is $25, and the workbook and the lunch, the $25 doesn't even cover the workbook and the lunch. You know, you know, and I don't want to say, I think with the workbook and the lunch, I think the workbook and lunch is going to cost us $30. You know, and so you're paying $25 for the workbook, the lunch, and you got two experts in their field that's going to be there. And I'm telling you, I've been to some classes that I spent. I bought an airplane ticket. I flew to another city. I rented a car. I got a hotel. I had to pay my own food bill, and I paid $1,500 for a class. And I've done that multiple times.
Yeah, I think I've done a similar amount.
Yeah, so, and I'm saying, you know, I'm not saying that in a boastful way at all, but I'm saying this Entrepreneur 101 is at that level. If I was an entrepreneur and I wasn't seeing the type of profit that I want, because this is about turning passion to profit, and I wasn't seeing the type of profit that I wanted as an entrepreneur, and this Entrepreneur 101 was $1,500. If I was an entrepreneur, I would spend it for it.
Yeah.
You know, it would be one of those classes that I would invest in myself with. And you getting all that for $25. He's trying to learn me. He said he gonna have to put me aside, and he gonna have to send me to a camp somewhere, because he said I'm always giving away stuff.
You do.
and these guys ain't doing it for free, even though they probably would if I asked them, but I would never ask them to do it for free. And so I'm going to make sure I'm going to take care of them as well, you know. And so I'm saying that, you know, I believe, you know, the community outside of Jericho is getting the overflow.
Yeah.
But I believe we have about 10 business owners in Jericho, you know, just approximately about 10 business owners in Jericho. And if I can get those 10 business owners to a place where they're profitable, then a lot of the financial challenges that we're having and different things that we need, you know what I'm saying? I'm
not know. Trust me.
You know,
my best goal is to teach a generation how to become financially stable.
Yeah.
So when you're financially stable, you can support more things.
Mm-hmm.
When you know where your money is going and everything has been assigned, then you can assign money to help someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get 10 people to assign money directly to a church, this is not tithing and offering. This is like, hey, I know they're trying to go here, so I'm going to assign some money to make sure things are happening at the church. And then you'll see the things that people don't notice are now happening, and that is fantastic to watch.
and so you can never get enough information, especially if it's good information.
Yeah.
You know, because ain't nobody got time to be just sitting around doing nothing, right?
Yeah.
You know, and Dr. Smooth said something just then that's very powerful. He said, "How much are you willing to bet on yourself?" Now that might be an issue right there. You hear what I said, James?
Yeah.
What I say?
That may be an issue, to bet on yourself.
You know.
But I'm telling you, $25 is a good bet. It's a solid. If you go there with a pencil and pen and just write in the notebook and take notes,
you don't even have to come
with for $25.
You don't even have to come with a pencil and pen. We're gonna give you a pen, and we got a notebook for you.
Yeah, that is a solid bet.
All you have to do is be willing to give up that time from 9 to 3. You know, let's give up that time, and you know, again, you know, we've been getting different people to call from different places, and I'm excited to see, you know, what the fruit that is going to yield. But I believe that the world has shifted, and I ain't trying to get spooky. And I believe that if we don't begin to rise up and stabilize ourselves and tap into financial freedom, that in probably the next 10 years, we're going to find it very difficult to function in the world the way it's becoming.
Yeah.
You know?
I like Brother Dante has said a lot of good stuff. I'd be like, man, he be on.
Who was that? Devon?
Yeah, Devon.
He said, like Brother Jones said, 95% of entrepreneurs fail. How you take a chance on their livelihood.
Yeah.
And that's, you take a chance by making sure that you have the information. You know, you make accurate decisions based on accurate information. And so if I can get you in the front of the best, James is definitely one of the best. So, you know, if you could test it. The Bible said, test it and see if it works. You can, if anything that James has shared on these Financial Fridays that you've tried, that you take it and you put it to the test and it did not work, I need you to let me know.
Let me know too.
Yeah, because you might have to go find them because I'm gonna fire them.
I want to know if it don't work. I want to know if it don't work. But when he say test, I do want you to test it. That means when you come up to it, I want you to apply the formula to it. The formula I gave earlier, apply it to the formula. If you're living off 40% of your income and you're investing in 20% into your passion, let me know. Let me know that it's not working.
Yeah.
Let me know that God is not doing. God is not doing what God has called you to do. Let me know.
Yeah.
I'll take up the prayer for you. I'm like, yo, Pop, you're making me look bad.
and so it really boiling down because we have a whole lot of reasons why we shouldn't take the risk. But I would probably say, like James with the 95, I would say probably 95% of them is fear-based. Because in the same sense that he talked about with tithing, is only a dime. And a dime, if you hold back the dime from God, you still can't pay a bill with it.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's a fear factor, you know, and so either you're going to fight, you know, the so that you don't lose, or you're going to be determined to win.
Yeah.
And when you're determined to win, that don't mean you're not going to go through some ups and downs. It doesn't mean that there's going to be some, won't be no light days and dark days. It does not mean it won't be some rough times and good times. It does not mean that it's going to be some, won't be some clear days and cloudy days. Listen, it does not mean that you won't feel whatever, but it does mean the chances of you winning when you're determined to win is 100% greater than the chance of you saying, I'm just not going to lose.
Precisely.
Yeah. Dr. Smoot said, with God, 90 is more than 100. You know? So, you know, we have to get to a place where we're going to decide, for the sake of ourselves, for the sake of our family, for the sake of our legacy, that we are going to win. I mean, the Bible tells us that. He says we can do all things. So stop saying what you can't do. You know, the Bible says God always causes us to triumph. So just go ahead and go for it. You're going, in the end, you're going to win. I'm like, James, if the Bible ain't right, somebody tell me.
let me know.
You know, but after, for, you know, my 30 years of pastoring, 45 years of being involved in ministry, my 65 years, 64 years of life, of the things that I've seen in different venues, God always comes through.
Yes.
Yeah. Come on, Josiah, I hear you. He says that waiting time is never wasted time. It's always just a matter of time. Yeah, I'm preaching now.
Yes,
Yeah.
you are.
So listen, I'll say Jericho, but I'll say this to everybody out there. Come on, it's time to take it up a notch. It's time to take it up a notch. We have the wherewithal. We are some of the smartest people on the planet. We have the wherewithal to change our current condition.
I agree.
All right. I think I don't know if James he left crying or something. I don't know where he go.
No. I'm here. My computer's doing its own thing for a second.
But listen, we 5 minutes over our time. I ain't mean to get into preaching, but I wasn't trying to preach. I'm trying to encourage you. It's so important that you invest in yourself. And coming on Financial Fridays, you have been invested in yourself. I applaud you for that. And now you got to take the next step by intentionally applying the things that you've learned. Even if you just apply one thing each Friday, you know, or if you create a list from Friday and you start applying one thing every day or every week, you know, you know, as Dr. Bonds would say, start at start, you know, and then I'll add on to there, just start. You know, you start at start, but please just start, you know.
Yes.
You know, see if it'll work, you know, and you don't have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Well, James, what's your closing remarks?
Make it. As much as we talk about it, the 95% that fail, you got people in there who's trying not to lose. But then you got the 95% that are trying. I'm telling you that if you want to be one of the people who make it out, be that lucky 5, that determined 5, or that destined 5, however you see it, it happens because you are assigning your money, you're believing in God, and you're doing the steps, the proper steps to pull and to market what you have. So that's all I have.
All right. All right. That's a good word. That's a good word. Well, listen, make sure, listen, if you come into Entrepreneur 101 tomorrow at 9, if you come into Entrepreneur 101, transforming passion into profit, it starts at 9 in the morning. If you are coming, I need you to register. I need you to register. We have different people that has registered, and now our seats are filling up, and we want to prepare for you. So I need to know if I need to go out and get some more lunch. You know, the lunches that we have ordered is almost all spoken for, and so I need you to register and let me know that you're coming. You know, if you can't pay your $25 right now, you can pay your $25 at the door, but I need you to register. I think that's possible. Dr. Bonds, you on here? Is that possible that they can register and pay at the door? If they say, well, I don't have it right now, I'm gonna have it in the morning, but let me know that you're coming. Let me know that you're coming.
How do that? Hey, Pastor, you gotta let them know how do they pay for it online?
Okay, you can go to my website. You can go to dradburns.com/events. That's DRAD Burns BURNS.com at /adburns.com/events, and you can go on there, and there are several ways on there that you can pay electronically. I believe PayPal is on there, and there are some other ways on there that you can pay. Minister Brumfield, will you put that last quote back up there for me? I was going to read that with what Devon said. What did Devon say? Okay. Yeah. Can we discuss proper investment next week? James.
Yes.
He said, can we discuss proper investment next week?
Yeah, that was going to be the last one, was talking about becoming an investor.
So when and how to vet that investment.
Yes. Okay. Because investing in anything is not a wise idea. You must know what you're investing in, and I will go more into that next week.
Okay. So next week, we're gonna jump right into the lesson. I'm not going to we're not gonna go back. We were trying to recap the day, and we were trying to get some questions today, make sure that everybody was on and we was all rolling in the same direction. And so next week we're just gonna jump right into our lesson, and so that we can get through some of those questions, those investment idea. But I don't want you to miss this opportunity. You know, I'm gonna tell you, like my pastor told me one time. I was my pastor. He said he's in Houston, Texas, and he had an event going on. And he said, and then I reached out to him and I told him, Pastor, I'm not gonna be able to make it. You know, I'm having some financial challenges and this, that, and the other going on, and this going on, and some things that this going on and that's going on. And then after he listened to me, and after I got done saying all that, now leave that up there for me, Minister Brumfield. After I got done with all of that, then he said to me, he said, I understand. Now do what you got to do to get here. That's what he told me. And you know what I did, right?
Yeah.
I was there. You know,
did what you had to do to get there.
I had to get a hotel. My hotel room was like a motel, didn't have no elevator, so I had to carry my luggage up the stairs. And my back was out during that time too, because I remember that was one of the reasons I wasn't gonna go. And I rented a car. It was almost like one of those smart cars. It seemed like it only had one seat in it. And my head was cramped up in the ceiling. You know, and I went to the store and bought some lunch meat, and that's how I ate my lunch. But I did what I had to do to get there, and I promise you, when I left, that was one of the best decisions that I made. being there. The information that I got, and when I came back, put it into use, it yielded much more than what it cost me to go. So I'm saying to you all, especially you at Jericho, do what you got to do to get there. All right, do what you got to do to get there.
I got mine.
whatever you put on hold, it for what you're going to receive, you're not going to, it's not going to be to compare. All right, that's all I got to say about that. All right, so you can hit that QR code, or you can go to dr80burns.com/events, and you can register. Let me know that you're coming, so I can prepare for you and make sure that you get there early so you get a good seat. And I am excited, and I'm looking forward to seeing some entrepreneurs go to the next level. And the next time, our next stretch day we have, before we even get started, one of them going to come up to the mic and they're going to say, Pastor, excuse me, what's the stretch for today? And we're going to say it's going to be 10 grand. And they're going to say, Pastor, I got that. And the whole place is going to erupt. And in fact, we might have to call security, because then there's going to be somebody else sitting out there and say, no, that's not fair. I was going to get some of that, and somebody else going to yell out, talking about, well, no, oh no, he can't, no, I was going to do it.
Yeah, those be the best problems. Those be the best problems.
All right, listen, I'm gonna close with this. Dr. Barnes wrote that in the chat. She says, the opportunity of a lifetime, and I'm gonna add to that, must be done in the lifetime of the opportunity.
Amen.
So the opportunity of a lifetime must be done in the lifetime of the opportunity. There's an expiration date on the opportunity. It'll never be another Entrepreneur 101 like this one.
Mm-hmm.
You believe that? All right, listen, we way out of time. We're at 8:44. And I got to get up early to be at the church tomorrow. So I got to go to bed early tonight. Listen, thank you all for tuning in. God bless you all. We're excited about your future. Listen, as I always say, listen, be intentional and live on purpose. God bless you and have a good night.
Bye.
Peace.